What's up, everybody? Mike Sims here from Let's Be Blunt in our latest installment of Let's Be Blunt. Got a very special guest in the studio today, Denis Skatkov.
Yep.
Said it correctly. He and I have been connected through social media for quite a few years now. Big fan of him, big fan of us. And, he's got quite the story to tell, like a lot of people do in the cannabis industry or the cannabis world and community.
Yeah.
We all have a why. We all have how we got here, what it means to us, and why we fight the battles we fight. But, Denis, thanks for being in here today, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Finally, right? We made this happen.
Finally.
Finally. So, Denis, you live here in Charlotte now. How long?
12 years.
12 years. You moved in from?
Michigan.
Michigan. That's where my wife's from. Which part?
Sterling Heights.
Sterling Heights. She's from Lansing.
Okay.
She claimed Detroit one time in Lansing. But originally not from here, from overseas, correct?
Yeah, originally from the Soviet Union.
That's awesome.
Before it all fell apart. But I don't claim to be Russian.
Right.
I do speak, read, and write fluent Russian, but I don't claim to be Russian.
Awesome.
I'm from Baku, Azerbaijan.
Baku, Azerbaijan. I love that. So the motivation to come to the United States with the family or alone? Or
I came with my parents and my brother, and the motivation was war once again.
Yeah.
So
Escaping. I actually have several friends that escaped not only from Russia because of war issues, but also Serbia.
Yeah.
Now Ukraine, other places. But
yeah, I have friends.
Glad you're here, man. So been in the United States, what you say, 12 years now? Or?
In the U.S., so we moved to the States in 1992.
Okay.
So we're like 31 years.
Still don't seem like 92 is that long ago, right? But
no, it's not.
It is. We're getting ancient, though.
Old.
So, through connection, through social media or whatever, I kind of figure out your story. And, I think you and I have very similar similarities, and especially this love for the plant.
Yeah.
But, you have a unique story, too. Let's start off from the beginning. What was your introduction to cannabis, and what time, what age, where were you living?
I was in Michigan, and I smoked my first joint, and
what age?
I was like 15 maybe.
Right, yeah.
And I just randomly I would smoke, but my biggest reason for loving this plant is because it's medicine.
Right.
Absolutely, unequivocally, without any doubt, it is a medicine.
Sure.
It helps in so many ways,
Let's talk about those ways. So obviously you start off with helping yourself with cannabis.
Yeah.
What did it help you with?
I would calm down. Because of my, I don't know, because I'm from the Slavic area,
Sure.
or whatever you want to call it, we have like hot tempers, and I still get angry.
Sure.
I get mad, and
Right.
I just fly off the handle. So it calms me.
Sure.
Calms me down.
Yeah, we have that here in North Carolina too. Trust me. I believe it or not, I used to be a very angry person as well, and still can be. But so it helps you relax. Like as some people say, it makes you feel a lot less murdery, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely a
chill.
calming effect. And this is the conversation I have with so many people. It starts off kind of as a recreational thing or a curiosity thing. But people usually go one or two ways. It's like, I hate this plant. I don't like the way it makes me feel. Or this is the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life. I can't believe I went this long without it.
Yeah.
Beyond that, one of the things we discussed, and I've known from following you on social media or whatever, you have 2 children? Or how many children?
I have 4.
4 children. Wow.
4. Well, total 5.
You need a new hobby like I do. I'm
We
up
tried
to
for a
3.
girl.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We tried for a girl.
I got my boy. I had 2
Yeah.
girls. Finally got my boy. So 5 children total. And then you have 2 children that are autistic.
That's right.
All right. And is there a specific type of autism that they, or just no?
It's just called ASD.
Sure.
There's
So
really
I'm still
no.
learning a lot about
They're
autism
nonverbal.
and things myself. I'm learning people that I personally know or have Asperger's, autism, verbal, nonverbal, things like that. And I think as a society, and especially in the United States, I think we're just now understanding it, learning how to deal with people that have autism. What are
Yeah.
some of the challenges you faced? Obviously, with 2 children having autism and the
Yeah.
others not. What are the challenges you have with the autistic children that you don't have with the others?
So they're nonverbal.
Okay,
Both of
both of
ours. Both of ours are nonverbal. And that's the biggest challenge is communication. Like, are you hungry? What hurts? Why are you crying?
Sure.
Does your stomach hurt? We don't know. It's
So-
all a guess.
So what's the ages of your children, including the 2 that have?
So my oldest is 19. And then our second born he's 14. He's the one that's our first autistic.
Yeah.
Then we've got Dominic and Caden. Dominic is 12. Caden is 11. The 14-year-old, his name is Mark. And then we have Isaac, the baby. He just turned 7.
Okay.
So they're fairly close in age.
Right. So parenting is challenging as any can be, and communication's even more
Yeah.
challenging, especially with my children. Even I swear, I think something clicks off every time I talk to them that they can't hear me. Their mom suffers from that too. What's up, Nikki? But nah. So I guess it has all sorts of challenges.
Yeah.
When did you start considering cannabis as a treatment?
So I started considering it first, and that was when we moved to North Carolina, and I noticed that we were having issues with Mark not sleeping. He would not fall asleep till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to put him on pharmaceutical medication because I felt like it would hinder his, I don't know, growth or development or
Sure.
in some sort of way.
Sure.
And I did a bunch of research. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and I saw how it was helping people with Parkinson's and dementia and all kinds of different, issues, seizures. And I just finally made the decision. I said to my wife, honey, we need to try it. At least we've got to try it. What's the worst that can happen?
Sure.
And I found a person that had some Rick Simpson oil. She gave me the tiniest of the tiniest drops of it and said, "Be careful because this is super strong." I'll
Sure.
send you the video of the transformation. It's a 9-minute video, and we gave my son. We put it on his gums. We rubbed it on his gums, and it was even the drop that she gave us. There was still enough for 10 more doses.
Sure.
So we rubbed it on his gums, and I placed the camera, and we filmed it for 10 minutes, and you saw him transform from just doing his wild things that he does to calming down, and then we put a sandwich in front of him, and he started eating the sandwich.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, we're going to need more of this,
Right.
and however I've got to do it, I've got to do it.
So from that description, I take it that maybe some nervous tics or tendencies or
Yeah.
movements or non-motors. Like
he has a lot of sensory
Okay.
input things.
Sure.
So, like, he puts his mouth on everything. We have a special chewy tube for him that he, chews on. Or if he doesn't have that, he'll be chewing on the furniture in his
Wow.
room. So it's
And I guess eating from that description as well was an issue.
yeah, he's very small for his age. His 12-year-old brother is bigger than him, taller and bigger.
Wow.
He's only like 70 something pounds.
And just
At
knowing
14.
how the world is and the industry is, I imagine this decision probably got some pushback from those around you.
So my parents, as anybody's parents they're all old school. They were, we're all taught, that's bad. It's a bad drug. It's this and that. And I told my mom about it, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know. We should ask a doctor." I said, "You don't ask a doctor
Right.
if you're gonna go do other wild drugs,
Right.
cocaine or
Alternative treatments. Right.
alternative
They've gotten
treatment."
better about it, but yeah, especially I guess many years ago, that's a no-no.
Yeah, doctors. So my mom gave me pushback on it for a little bit, but then I sent her that video, and she was like, "Wow."
Yeah, we got to get that video uploaded and shared. I think you even showed me at one point, but
Yeah,
I've seen similar ones, very powerful.
yeah.
And so he was about how old when you started this?
He was 7,
Sure.
8.
Okay. And did you continue to see improvements in
Oh,
this
yeah.
day-to-day life?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like,
The improvements is the biggest improvement is the sleep.
right.
We give it to him, and within a half an hour, 45 minutes, and he's sleeping and snoring.
So we're still currently treating him
Oh,
and
yeah.
things. So,
Yeah.
any issues outside of the home and family with treating them with cannabis? The way people have judged you or pushed back or legal or anything like that?
We we were involved with some DSS issues. They tested the kids, and he tested positive for THC. They took the kids. We were involved with DSS for 2 years. 2
Man.
years, almost 2 years. Yep. And they took the kids. I was
All of them.
arrested. All the kids.
Wow.
Had to go to court. I got it's like a 90-96 or something like that. It's where you do all the stuff that they ask you
Sure.
to do, and then they brush it under the rug.
Right,
Basically.
right.
It gets erased off your record.
And then you eventually get your kids back.
Eventually, we got our kids back. We had to prove, that just eating the plant because it's grown, you can't get high off of it.
Right.
It has to decarboxylate. So
Yeah, wow, unbelievable, man. And so, what prompted them to want to test the children? I guess word of mouth, hearing things, seeing things, knowing things.
I was raised, old school. I got my ass kicked, and by my parents, and what the whole prompting for it was, I was physically disciplining our two middle sons that are verbal, that talk,
Sure.
that are atypical or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And my wife sent one of them to school with a bruise on their butt, and DSS got involved at
Right.
that point.
Sure.
So it was
And that's
a long story.
the kind of the backtrack or whatever. This is a risk that many people take in this country. Not only adults, but one of the more unspoken demographics of our customer base is adolescents, children, teens. Really, teens. We get more parents coming in looking for an alternative to pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Not even for something as severe as nonverbal autistic, things like ADHD or just simple anxiety, acute or chronic anxiety. And currently there is no actual laws that says you cannot purchase this even as children. The only thing that the catch is vapes. Vapes, you have to be 21 and up.
Right.
But there's actually no law that says we cannot sell this to kids. And with that being said, we have a lot of parents that obviously come in and buy for their children. And they ask me all the time, what are the risks of this or whatever? And honestly, I got to tell them the biggest risk is being caught doing it, because you touched on it.
Yeah.
The THC presence, it's not like when they do a urinalysis or a drug screening, they can't tell the difference between you smoked a joint a month ago and you smoked a pound 10 minutes ago. For the most part, they can't tell, so just to...
Mind you not, even if you smoked a pound, nothing will happen to you.
Right,
Except
yeah.
you'll be super hungry
Right.
or sleepy.
Yeah, I like to point that out every other episode, if not every episode, is no one's ever died from this.
No.
So we're talking about, but I guarantee you every medication that would have been thrown at you for treatment of your children, there's severe side effects, probably including death.
Yeah.
And that's, we claim to be in the land of the free, where we can choose our own methods of treatments, not only for ourselves, but for our children.
Exactly.
Because these are chemicals, poisons that we have to give our children. So,
Yeah.
what kind of process did you have to go through? Because let it be known too, you can have THC show up in your system and not feel high at all. The THCV, THCA, all these other THCs that are non-active or non-psychoactive are present in cannabis.
Right.
And I tell people, even the smallest bit is needed to get the entourage effect, to make your body realize what your intake is and to absorb it, right? So what kind of challenges did you go through to prove your innocence or prove your viability in doing this?
So I had a I don't know, a guardian angel, whatever you want to call it, with us in court, my attorney, and she had fought with us the entire time, didn't charge us a penny, because she knew it was gonna be a fortune, but the proving process it was medicinal.
Right.
It was strictly for
and we're
medication.
talking probably even pre-hemp legalization, pre-2018, if I'm doing the math right.
This was 20 beginning of 2017 to October 2018.
Wow. So right there around the time the Farm Bill was passed, where any of this was even, and I still have to warn parents to this day, your child is safe taking these products. You'll see tremendous results most likely. I tell every customer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a pharmacist. However, I've seen true miracles happen to this, and I have friends with autism, different levels, and everything else, and they always ask me about these products. And I've had a few friends venture into it that tried a little, but were too scared to continue and stop. And I try to tell them again, like, now we're in a space where you can have this conversation with your doctor, and well, some depending on the doctor.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We've sorry to interrupt you.
No, please do.
We've been through about 10 doctors. We're running out of North Carolina doctors to pediatricians. So if we mention it, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Get out of here.
They get out. They send us a letter, like a kid. Bye. We're
a permanent ban too, right? Probably or
it's what?
Like so, I think of my aunt. I have an older aunt. Osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, whatever, rheumatoid arthritis, severe pain. She, all kind of medications, was able to get off most of them except for like one medication that was necessary.
Yeah.
And because she would go have these drug screenings and cannabis was present, they would drop her, not let her not come back, and not give her the one medication she needs. Yeah. So you're now, Kendra Jeffries, what's up, Kendra? She had to move to Costa Rica eventually to give her daughter the best end-of-life care she can. She's since passed away. She told them around 12 years old that she only had a few years to live, and she lived to at least to her mid-20s and was able to finish her life in Costa Rica and paradise. And I remember Kendra telling me over and over again the struggles and how literally she would have police present in the hospital room administering cannabis under the threat of arrest.
Wow.
And saying, you're just going to have to arrest me.
Hey, arrest me 1,000 times.
Right? So you've been down this road.
I've been down this road.
So what is the alternative treatment that they're denying your children because of the presence of cannabis? Like, what, we're just not going to see them at all anymore, or we can't give them the medication, or
we just won't be.
Just go. Yeah, we won't see.
Go.
Right.
We don't want to. We don't.
Is there
our what do they say? Our medical something doesn't align with yours, or.
Yeah,
I just say, okay,
yeah.
bye.
Basically,
we stopped talking
medical
about
pockets and money doesn't align. Is what it comes down to.
They offer us, all kinds of medication for him, and I'm like, nah.
Stacks of written prescriptions. I'm sure I've gone through the medical system personally.
We just tell them, nah, we're good. We just won't give him anything.
Right, right, yeah, right. So, is there any kind of fear still of more retaliation, or perhaps another test, or they've cleared this with DSS?
So there was a couple of other issues that happened while my children were in DSS custody.
So they had a complete foster care.
They were completely.
Which is a nightmare in itself.
Our one boy was in Fayetteville, one boy was in Statesville, one boy was in Stallings, which is close to where we live, and.
It's like it pisses me off so bad to hear these stories. I can feel it here.
It was
like, you mean to tell me like this is a better option, dividing a family, putting family through turmoils, division, and fear of abuse and other things from families.
Yeah. So the other issues that were involved because DSS was involved, that's my get out of jail free card. That I'll play instantaneously as soon as if somebody shows up at my house talking about whatever.
Sure.
And I don't know.
Share that. Yeah.
I guess I can share.
Share what you're comfortable with sharing. I don't want to.
So one of my children in foster care was sexually molested by another child, and when I saw the difference in him when we would visit, I said I told them, I said, there's something, that's not the same boy that we gave you guys.
Right.
And they, no, nothing's going on, nothing's happening, and da-da-da. And sure enough, when we got him back in 2018, he, he was trying, he didn't succeed, he was trying to do the same things to his older brother.
The cycle, yeah.
And luckily, his older brother had enough, mind to come to me and his mom to tell us, hey, he's doing this kind of stuff, and I don't think it's right. And he came to us, and we addressed it. We put him in therapy, and we tried to get him as normal as possible, to get him through that situation. That's that's really tough for me to talk about.
No, I can't imagine.
It's
tough for me to hear, man.
So that's my get out of jail free card. If they show up to my house, you did what to my kid?
Right.
Bye. Have a nice day. Don't even show up here. You guys are not right.
Yeah, and I'd like to think we're in a better place where there's more understanding, but dealing with what I deal with on a day-to-day basis with law enforcement, lawmakers, and everything else, I think we're almost regressing in some kind of way. Like, the understanding is here, the potential is here, but it's still this propaganda hanging over our head where people are programmed that this is bad, this is a drug. Everybody just wants to get high.
You went through school, and there was the DARE program.
Which ultimately led to my use of drugs and cannabis.
We were all told that
Right.
it was bad. Just don't do it.
Right.
Keep away from it. It's bad. It's a gateway drug. It's not a gateway drug.
Sure.
Gateway is a choice.
Sure.
You make that.
Well, and we've talked about it on the show many times. I believe it's a gateway behavior because you have to almost immediately learn to be secretive, to lie, to keep yourself out of jail and out of trouble. Yeah. For me, it was a gateway behavior of alienation, where I felt like an outcast or an outsider, and if I admitted that I used this cannabis plant, I faced repercussions, legal and socially. Of course, now I don't give a damn. I'm out, but I still face it every day. Even people, and Basel, he sees it a lot too, being around me. It's like even people that support you only support you to a certain extent, and they don't want to sign their name to it. They don't want to be involved, and they'll tell you like, "Hey, man, I'm really proud of you," but they'll never say anything in public. And even the opposite, they actually like, "I don't know him," kind of thing.
So my mom and my dad have come around to accepting it and not like, "Oh my God, don't do it."
Right.
It's
they use cannabis as well now,
so
or not that far?
They live in Michigan still.
Okay.
So in Michigan, it's recreational
legal.
and medical is legal. But that's my basis of how I acquire what I acquire to make my own medicine for my son, and then I call it Mark's medicine.
Sure.
So to your last podcast, when you were talking about your children and how they, or I think it was your mom that was talking about it, how she, how you guys bring up the whole cannabis in your family, and when your mom goes outside to smoke it, your girls go, what do they say?
Mama's medicine.
Mama's medicine.
Yeah.
I thought that was the best thing is to what is it?
Normalize
it with the kids. To normalize it with them, like it's.
And see, when I think what people misunderstand, and even me, I had some concerns like, you expose kids to something, you almost open that door for them. But listen, kids are going to be exposed to all kind of things regardless of what you try to do, right? And what I've actually seen with having many friends that are cannabis users is almost the opposite, right? These people that are parenting that shield and protect their kids from this and don't talk about it, whatever, leaves more questions than answers, and their curiosity leads more use than anything. Yeah. My kids, I can set my edibles out, my flower out, or whatever, literally offer it to them, and I don't want that. That's daddy's medicine.
Yeah.
They have no desire. They don't see it as a taboo or a wrong. They see it, this is a part of life.
Yeah.
This is daddy's medicine. And
same with mine.
Right. And it really makes them lose interest. Daddy's interested in it. I don't care.
I mean, eventually, like mine are my two that speak and talk and are atypical. They call it Mark's medicine as well.
Right.
And
so are we still using extraction Rick Simpson style? And by the way, Rick Simpson oil, RSO oil, is developed by a gentleman named Rick Simpson. It's been around since the 70s. For those that don't know, I always like to talk about it, and it's simply an extraction method used with decarboxylation or heating, some kind of high alcohol content for extraction, and then evaporation process, which you're left with like a sludgy green sticky oil, tar, like a black dark oil, and it's called Rick Simpson oil. It's high in cannabinoids as well as THC, and that is a method that's been around. It's been shown. You can research it yourself to kill cancer cells, to treat ailments, everything from Parkinson's, arthritis, all kind of things. So this is still the best method for you.
So I don't make Rick Simpson oil. I infuse regular coconut oil with flour. Okay. And that's all I do.
That's good.
I cook it for about 10.5 hours at a low temperature. And
so both autistic children now are receiving children, or just Mark?
So they both receive I make them into gummies.
Sure. Yeah.
or wafers.
Sure. Because Rick Simpson's taking it in your mouth or whatever, it sucks. It sticks there for a while and it stays, and so you got to make it
through the gums
palatable.
Is the best way to get it into your blood and into your system, so that it activates.
That's what I tell you, sublingually or through the gum absorption or whatever. Even with animals, same difference. So, so we're just continuing to see, I guess, quality of life improvements, or just getting sleep, appetite.
quality of life, appetite. He eats. I mean, this kid can knock out a large pizza on his own.
Sure.
But he's so tiny, so his biggest thing is he walks. He'll and you're gonna laugh. We put a pedometer on him, and he takes upwards of like 25,000 steps a day.
Wow.
It's insane.
I need some.
We both do. We both do.
Get my butt up and walk, man. That's quite amazing. So, how does your wife feel about this now versus when you had to?
She is like, "Hey, I'm running low. I need you to make more."
Right.
She's all for it. She takes it.
Right.
She's like, it helps me sleep. It helps me sleep, and it calms her down. And
that's what's more upsetting too, is when I have so many customers, friends, family over the years. It's always interested but scared to take that step, and 90% of the time, it's not because of the fear of what cannabis is going to do to them. It's the fear of getting caught with it. And there's plenty of people I know that ended up with cancer, with debilitating things that cannabis would definitely help. Even going through chemo, that would definitely help. And I have friends that simply would not even try it because of the legality issues. You
can't. I found out that I'm 40. I just turned 40 years old.
Happy birthday!
Thanks.
Yeah,
but as I get older, I find like trying to beat a dead horse, and telling people like, hey, I'm not saying that that's not something that you should do, because I don't want you to ever give up.
Right.
But Trust me. I get so tired of trying to explain to people the benefits.
Right. And that's what we talked about a little bit before we started rolling the camera. I'm tired of fighting too. I will never stop. Unfortunately, I'm too crazy.
Don't stop.
I've had more problems in the legal space than the illegal space by far.
I can imagine.
And the ignorance is unbelievable. And what you have is a lot of people that will, in public settings especially, look down upon you, participate in whatever kind of bullshit they're coming at you with, but behind closed doors, when the cameras aren't around or the meeting's not happening, they go, hey man, I support what you're doing, I like what you're doing. However, because of my job, because of my political affiliation, because of my legal affiliation, I can't support you.
I will say this. Doctors are pharmaceutical sellouts.
Yes.
They are making money off of the pharmaceutical drugs. They can't make money. They can't patent. They can't patent this.
Right. Because they actually have the patent on treating cancer with cannabis. through GW Pharmaceutical. You can Google it. But
Yeah.
which is disgusting. And you're correct. And that's why ultimately legalization hasn't happened. What people don't realize is all pharmaceutical really is something, a cure or a treatment they've taken from nature, a proven treatment from nature that they take and synthesize, whether it be a plant, a tree, some kind of venom, whatever have you, something from nature that's ultimately extracted, and they chemically analyze it and go, how can we synthesize this to where we can only do it, we get it FDA approved, and then we can treat people with the same thing that you could find naturally in nature. I think about all the time, there was back in the 80s, there was some component of red yeast rice that was the same as some pharmaceutical drug, which is ultimately still kind of leaving us able to do what we do in this industry for alternative treatments. But that's all that's happening. And if you really do your researching through the Hertz Publishing and the DuPonts, and you realize that ultimately they cornered the market on treatment. And that is exactly the problem in this industry, is something that is a weed that you could throw a couple seeds in the pot and grow something similar to something that you're going to make in the laboratory. Because right now we have Epidiolex, which is directly from cannabis, but we also have Marinol, which is absolute garbage. Yeah. It's nowhere close to what cannabis does. But
well, they claim that melatonin is supposedly something good for autistic kids, but it causes all kinds of issues, and
well, we have some products with melatonin, some with not, and it's very definitive, and they're even seeing now a lot of people, parents I've seen kind of jokingly call it their little helpers or whatever, and slip their kids melatonin gummies because it does ultimately put them to sleep, and it's safe. But now we're starting to see melatonin poisoning and pretty severe side effects from constantly giving your kids melatonin to the point where they can't sleep without it, or almost an addictive
no side effects
trait.
From cannabis.
Right. No
side effects from cannabis.
Right. It's what's crazy.
Except hunger.
Right. And, I do give my children full spectrum CBD, quite regularly. I don't think they're any kind of deal. It's kind of like a maintenance deal. I don't give them anything. There's nothing ailing them currently. But my first plan of action, had I need to go that route, is definitely natural route, because I've seen too many side effects from all these medications, and a lot of times they cause so many side effects, you end up treating the side effects and not what ails them to begin with.
Right. My wife, she asked me one time, she said, what if I get cancer? I said, I'm going to pump you full of weed. You're going to be high for years.
Right.
Trust me. Don't worry. She's like, okay, good.
Comfortably numb. Yeah, that's my mom's only dying wishes is, please don't let me run out of weed. Probably mine's pretty similar
that's
too.
Awesome.
But, and I've often said too, probably once legalization's happened and everybody gets what we've been fighting, I'll probably walk away from it at that point. But it is exhausting. It is exhausting you're fighting 100 years of propaganda. You're not fighting logic. And so many people I know that even use cannabis that hide it from their children or whatever, won't smoke in front of their children, whether it be vape or joint or whatever, but they have no qualms of smoking cigarettes or alcohol or whatever.
And now you got to be 21 about it. And now you got to be 21 to buy cigarettes.
Right.
I bought cigarettes at 18. I remember.
Right. And the way parents shield from cannabis, but yet no issue with smoking cigarettes or drinking in front of them. It blows my mind. It's baffling. But it seems that no one cares or listens until, very similar in North Carolina, we talked about it, the Compassionate Care Act.
Until it's happened to you.
We SB 711, SB 3, two medical bills trying to get passed in North Carolina, had no prayer. 20 damn years, you had nothing but Democrats trying to push these bills and laws to bring some kind of legalization for medical or otherwise. Deaf ears, never made it anywhere. But all of a sudden, two Republican senators ended up with cancer, were told by their doctors the best treatment during their cancer treatment for them to fight the side effects is cannabis use. And if you go to North Carolina Normal right now, there's Senator, I forget his name already, he pissed me off, but one of the senators is on there admitting that he broke the law to treat himself with marijuana. And all I can think is the privilege. If you and I admittedly breaking the law or whatever to treat ourselves or children, we face all kind of consequences.
I don't want to get too political, but the Democrats are doing other things as well as blocking cannabis from reaching the
Sure.
public and people. It really sucks because it's a
Well,
it's a medicine that we all should have a right to use, just
Sure.
like water, air, basic necessities
Right.
that people need.
And what we've seen is it's become just a political dividing line, and we do a lot of different segments talking about this has been nothing but a political movement from day one. It never was about safety.
Yeah.
It never was about harm. It was always about politics. And what we've seen retroactively is the Democrats ultimately have pushed to legalize, but the Republicans are against it. But now it's become such divided party lines that most of them won't even touch it, much less give their opinion on it.
Yeah.
And if you really do the research, especially in North Carolina, you look like Senator Tom Tillis. He has received more pharmaceutical funding than any other senator in history.
Sellout.
Right. And if you look right now in North Carolina, the largest lobbyist group in North Carolina is law enforcement. Second to that, pharmaceutical. Second to that, alcohol industry. And now the tobacco industry is coming around because they're trying to get in on the recreational side, where you have big pharma trying to get in on the medicinal side. But they're not trying to do it for the greater good of us in the community. They're trying for their right. And that's what we're facing now in this industry, is the division amongst the industry, because you used to have everybody for legalization. Well, now you got the hemp group, now you've got the medicinal group, and now you've got the recreational group. And we're fractionalized amongst ourselves, and this is exactly why the government keeps winning and we're not getting these laws passed.
Division.
Right. And the constituents out here ultimately don't care, because the people that smoke weed, they already have their connections. They don't give a damn if it's legal or not. And they don't want to have to be public about it, i.e. register in a database to be able to receive it or whatever. So a lot of people just stay quiet. Hey, I'm good. I ain't got to say nothing. Then you got the people that all of a sudden have the medical need. It seems to be the ones that all of a sudden come to the table. Like, we need to pass this. This is great. Or I had a friend that gave me this from Colorado and I tried it and my life changed. And it's like, it's great because we've won another one, but it's like, where the hell have you been? And I think about Senator John McCain. He literally died of a brain tumor. Spent most of his career fighting the legalization of this plant, and ultimately died from a brain tumor that could not been reduced or treated with cannabis. And it's just, we put so much trust in the system, the FDA system, and you touched on that. Doctors are funded by pharmaceutical. Pharmaceutical helps fund the FDA. Promotion within the FDA comes from the pharmaceutical industry or doctors paid from. So it's conflict of interest after conflict of interest. And we've proven since day one that it was completely politically driven. Darren, we just did a segment on Nixon the other day where Nixon ultimately admitted in closed-door meetings that this was a way to go towards the anti-war movement, the hippies, and the ultimately the black musicians, the jazz musicians. It was ultimately a way for them to go after both and keep prisons full. And it was all about industry and filling prisons. And I tell people all the time, law enforcement is a business. In order for cops to keep their jobs and keep funding or whatever, they have quotas they have to meet, certain amount of people they have to arrest. And what's crazy is what you'll realize is Obama, even though he came out with the Cole memorandums, there were more raids on legal dispensaries under Obama than any other president. Crazy enough, under Trump, there was a lot less, but we also had COVID where there was a lot of nothing happening during that time. And now under Biden, we've now seen a spike all over again on legal raids of legal dispensaries. And similar to what we're going to in South Carolina. And what they're doing is not only coming at you from a legal standpoint, they're now getting tricky with city ordinances and things like that, where if we can't beat them from this thing, we had our business license revoked in South Carolina ultimately because our windows said cannabis, even though it was approved by the city. And there's a whole news story about it or whatever, WIS, we can post that in the link too. But it was this whole, they ultimately took our business license because they tried to come in and raid us. We're going to beat that. But now they're saying that we were doing unlawful activity, even though we've yet to have our court date, and ultimately said we could reopen as long as we removed the word cannabis from our window, which was already prior approved by them. We even had to take it down, reduce it by 3 inches, and put it back up, again, approved by them, which we have paperwork, but then we had to take it down off our window just to stay open. And they even wrote in that letter that you must remove it from your window until it is legal. but cannabis is legal in all 50 states. It's hemp and marijuana are both considered cannabis.
Right.
So where are we at on the mark there? Yep. So, but the struggle is real. So
I believe it.
Where do we see ourselves now? Like, is this something we're going to continue to do? And I like to ask this question too. Being an open-minded as you are and loving this plant, your children that are not going through treatment, they come to you, Dad, I'm interested in Mark's medicine.
Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And that's the thing. It's like, I tell people all the time, your kids are going to do these things whether or not. It's kind of growing up, you have the cool parents like, I know you're going to drink or whatever you're going to drink, come do it here. But there's still so many legal ramifications, and are they even interested at all at this point?
So I've made brownies. They've eaten brownies. They've tried it.
Right.
They've tried it, and they sometimes they say no, that's okay, I don't want any. Sometimes they try it and they're like, oh, we love the way we sleep on it. That's their initial reaction.
And I guess it's probably very low dosing.
So I had one of my wafers tested. It tested 17%.
Okay. Wow, pretty good stuff there. But yeah, and I think that I would prefer for my children to never have to give them anything.
Right.
But as things come up, I'm always going to err on the side of natural.
Yeah.
What did nature intend, or what has the least side effects, or what's least harmful for your body?
So to that point, what we put in our bodies, as far as food, the things that we buy at the store, has a lot to do with the things that we go through. So let's say a child has ADHD. Well, are they eating these Takis or are they eating Doritos that have red 40 in it that causes autism and all these other it's proven to cause ADHD.
Yeah, because a large amount of things that are in our daily diet in the United States are banned in every other country in the United States.
Absolutely.
Or in the world, excuse me. And people don't realize that they're so worried about this product in particular, what we do, that they don't realize the garbage they're pumping into their children that is causing the same kind of markers or showing that they have ADHD or some other thing, but really it's just their god-awful diet.
Yeah, I've cut out Doritos, all these chips. We make our own chips at home, and they're like, so my last name is Skatkov, and I'll make Subway sandwiches, but they call it Dad Way, or I'll make potato chips and we'll call them scat chips or some and they make
that could be something different too. Scat chips.
Scat chips. Or Scatman chips or whatever. But it's ultimately in the food that we consume is what causes all of cancer, dementia, all these these different things, and the pharmaceutical companies own the food companies.
They're looking at dementia to triple in the next, I think they said, 10 to 15 years amongst Americans because of the diets and things that we feed. Your wife from the United States?
Yeah, she's from Michigan. That's where we met, and we just decided to move south. I have some health issues. I've had 4 heart attacks.
Wow.
In 2018, I had a triple bypass open heart. I was going through all that stress with the kids and DSS, and since then I've cut out so many different foods out of the house that have, high fructose corn syrup is one of the biggest causes of diabetes and being overweight, and that stuff is even in ketchup, and I'm like, I've got to buy special ketchup just to not have diabetes. Are you kidding me?
And that's that's probably one of my struggles too is. Being overweight and being older, I'm also on this journey of trying to do better and healthy, but I guess it magnified my eating habits now that I have children watching and following my footsteps. So it's become like a kind of a hot button in our house too, because kids love the processed stuff that has shapes and colors and all that.
McDonald's
cut it for kids.
All out.
It's garbage.
All trash.
And we're trying to do better, but man, it's like you either let them sit there and go hungry or whatever. But it's a struggle. Yeah. And ultimately, everybody I think wants the same thing. You want the absolute best for your children, and you want them to have a better life than you had.
Yeah.
and provide things
Absolutely.
for them that you didn't have, you
Absolutely.
know, and so
We even we got chickens
yep.
that lay eggs, and we get fresh farm fresh eggs, and
And I was looking, so you guys have all kind of things going on. You also have a YouTube channel, right?
yeah, we have a YouTube channel called Denis and Crystal's World,
Yeah.
where we just do funny videos. It's not for everybody. It is not for everybody. We have haters, and it
Don't we all?
and and
Don't we all?
Crystal is our the star of the show. She is the fart dryer of the show.
The
and
fart dryer, nice. I love it.
And it's funny. We just try to make people laugh and smile. And it's not.
We need more of that in the world, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the world we live in now, man. Whew. But where can they find you on there again?
We're at Denis and Crystal's World on YouTube.
Okay.
We're only on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll put a link up there for that too. What do you do for a living? What do you do for work?
I'm YouTube.
That's awesome.
We
That's
do
amazing.
YouTube, and I just kind of buy and sell stuff. And
That's awesome. So you get to be home with your kids a good bit.
I try to.
Do you are your children in normal school? You doing homeschooling or
We did homeschooling
traditional school? I guess you call
we
it.
did homeschooling when it was the scamdemic, and
yeah.
and they're back to traditional school brainwashing, and
Sure.
I have to unbrainwash them when they get home.
Yeah, I have a daughter. We've had them in a daycare a little bit, and ultimately had them home. And I have a daughter starting kindergarten and traditional school in just a few weeks. And I'm telling you, I've already warned everybody in the house this is probably going to be short lived, because it's not necessarily what I want to teach them. Is I don't want to force things on them or a certain perspective or influence
Right.
that kills who they are. And I want them to question everything, and I want them to not be a cog in the system, So it's going to be a real challenge, and my wife and I are trying to figure that out now, what's going to work. But I don't think traditional school as we know it is going to be the answer for me. And it seems from the governor here in North Carolina, he filed a state of emergency. I guess such a mass exodus out of the public school system that they're now seeing a state of emergency issue. Because
Really?
you have to have participants for it all to work. But, I think everyone during the pandemic or whatever realized a lot of things. And ultimately, people realize, man, life is better if I can kind of keep this family pod in place and, be the influence instead of 30 other, 40 other, 200, 300 other kids being the influence, or overcrowded schools, underqualified teachers because it's hard to fill those positions for what they're paying, and it's a constant struggle.
It's so the two that are two autistic boys. They are in an EC classroom setting. Mark goes to a school down in Monroe,
Right.
and Isaac goes to the same school that Mark, his older brother, went to for 6 years. The elementary school, and his teacher there there's multiple teachers.
Right.
They're gonna watch this podcast, so I've got to mention them all.
Sure.
I absolutely love the teachers that are
Amazing.
that are helping kids like
So what's
mine.
what's the outlook in this situation? What's the prognosis? What's the best case scenario, worst case scenario? Is this something that's going to progressively get worse? Is this something that's going to show improvement, or is it constant? We don't know.
With my kids?
With your kids?
It's we've just accepted it, and if it improves, great.
Right.
If not, cool. Be you, be who you are. We don't discipline the two.
Is there enough understanding in your own children's needs from what you've seen to kind of build a curriculum around what they're able to do or comfortable with doing, or is there any kind of stimulation process, or is it just kind of
they have
letting
no
them do what they want?
interest. They have no interest in sitting down and reading a book or anything.
But who does?
Right, that's true. But it's or like playing with cars or whatever. They don't show any interest in anything like that. Just we try to keep them fed,
Right.
plenty of water.
So, is there any other support out there in the world or in the United States? There are people in similar boats that you and your wife are in that have turned to cannabis as an alternative option, or is there a two-part question? Are there doctors that have come around to this alternative treatment out there, or you just haven't found them?
Not that I've seen or found. If
Wow.
if you're out there, Doc, hit me. Hit
Yeah.
me in the DMs. I don't care
I
how
do
you
have some
find me.
doctors. I'm curious. I would like to follow up with them to say, hey, is there any doctors that's kind of, because it seems like Israel's leading the world in any kind of research cannabis-based.
It was actually an Israeli doctor that found CB1 and CB2 in the
receptors.
endocannabinoid
Yeah,
system.
97.
Yep.
And that's, now they're not even growing plants in Israel. Now they're just cloning clones, like cells. So they don't even have to grow the plant. So it's way more consistent and
Yeah.
control more of the cannabinoids in it. As we wrap this up, besides like you just plead to the doctors if you're out there, what do you want the viewers to take away from this? What do you want? What is your plea to lawmakers and to the viewers surrounding this?
Please make cannabis legal. Make it legal for everybody's access, for everybody to have and to use
Right.
as medicine, as even if it's recreational. I don't care. Just make it so that it's available and people aren't getting into trouble for it. I really hope that your situation with your employee and
Right.
your whole thing that's going on, I really hope that
Thank you.
gets handled and you get that person out of that situation.
Yeah, it's completely dehumiliating. It's humiliating to the point I feel like it's not humane. And when you criminalize someone, especially my employee, for showing up to work, it's not like she made a choice of anything besides I want to work. And she bought into our dream of this plant because she too is a huge advocate for the plant and has seen the same miracles I've got to see, even more. She's in the store every day.
Yeah.
As most of my employees. Most of my employees love me and the company, but it's way more than me or this company. It's for the love of the plant, and it's because
I think it's your passion
sure
for fighting, for making the changes that you've made in the political. I mean, I follow all your.
Thanks, man. It's an uphill battle, and it's a curse as well. And but what I've noticed is you probably have the most docile group of people that are the most non-combative. People that use cannabis are already kind of outcast and timid outcast. And last thing they want to do is, number one, even be recognized as a cannabis user, but much less be able to stand up in public and say, this is wrong. I'm fighting for my right to this. You're not going to find that a lot in this industry because people are scared of the legal backlash. But thank you for that. Some days I wonder what the hell I'm thinking.
You're the crusader.
Yeah,
you call yourself the crusader of cannabis.
But and my wife will tell you, and Basel will tell you, there's so many times I've done, you know what, man, the hell with this. I've had enough, and it never fails. This divine timing of someone comes in my life that tells me their testimony, their why, what my store has done for them, what my fight has done for them, and the courage has given them to pursue this, and that's what keeps me in it.
Yeah.
So,
even though I make my own, I still go into your central store and I purchase Delta 8 gummies for my son.
Amazing.
But and it's nothing against you or your industry. I like to control the substance. You know what I mean? That's why I make it.
And that's one of that. More than legalization, I'm fighting too for regulation.
Yeah.
Because this is the huge, really unregulated market, and it leaves the door open for bad players and people that don't give a damn what's in it, and they're looking for the best price and the best margins, and they throw it. And so, I'm one of the first. Let's legalize, but let's regulate, because this could be potentially dangerous. And the last thing we want to do is have someone have a negative effect or death by a product that wasn't caused because of the actual cannabis, but because of some other outlying chemical or harmful product in it.
I mean, I feel you on that, because I've seen news reports where somebody smoked cannabis and it was laced with fentanyl or some crazy stuff.
That's the last thing we want. And that's when I could sit at this same table here with lawmakers, politicians, law enforcement, and I guarantee you we got more in common than not. And you and I and them, we all want we want a better future for our family and our children. Yeah. We want our children to be safe, and we want ultimately to have the freedom to treat ourselves and our children what we feel is best for them.
That's our human right.
A human right. And we get scrutinized in this industry. Everybody wants to know every little thing about what's in these products, and rightfully so. But what kills me is how much trust is not given to us, but is given to someone just because of the title of doctor, or just because they have the title of nurse, or just because it's legal.
Yeah.
And so many times people do things because it's legal, but it's probably is way more harmful than most illegal things.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But we're gonna wrap this up, man. Thanks. We gotta do a follow up with you on the show, and I definitely want
Anytime.
to get that video from you to show firsthand the effects
I'll
of
give
this.
it to you before
And thank you for your fight, because it's really cool and easy for me to sit up here and look cool and fight and fight the fights. Well, thanks, man. And I got a huge team behind me that allows me to be what I am. But the people that don't have this platform, the people that don't have the resources I have to keep my ass out of trouble, I do this for them, because there's so many people that either have to break the law for treatment or choose not to treat because of the law. And that's what we got to stop, man. Too much suffering.
I agree.
Too many people turning to unhealthy or deadly alternatives. Or suicide, too. Suicide's through the roof for people going through chronic pain. People with disabilities, people, veterans with disabilities. So many people, suicide rates going through the roof if they just had alternative treatment options for mental health, for physical health. And that's what my fight's about, is for those that don't have a voice.
I really hope you continue that.
We're trying, man.
If you ever feel like nothing's helping you to continue the fight, just call me. I'll change your mind.
I appreciate that. This is one of those instances. I feel a lot of things you say. I'm a parent now too.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I won't do to keep my children happy, safe, healthy.
Yeah.
Period. Nothing. There's no limit. So I will die for them, but I will live for them too. Yeah. And I game recognizes game. A passion recognizes passion. And what else matters? Nothing. And this is what we're here for, And luckily one day in our children's time, they will be like, this was illegal? That's ridiculous. That's what I'm hoping for. Like, I can't believe you used to have to fight these battles. But
then they're going to remember the man that made it happen.
We hope so, man. We hope so.
I really hope you do.
It's just things could be better. And I hope that we continue this. And thanks for being here again. And we'll continue to fight. And people like you, we need more stories out there. If anybody out there has similar stories or something they want to share, we're always looking for one.
Come and share.
Come share.
It needs to be heard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The government, the powers that be, want us to do opposite of this. They want us to be scared. They want us to be divided.
They want us to be slaves.
They want us to stay on that. It's very profitable to be sick. It's very profitable for treatment. There's no money in cures. There's only money in treatment. And if you keep buying and participating in the system's only going to thrive.
Yeah.
And it's only going to change if we ask questions, if we fight the norms, if we fight the status quo, if we fight for natural resources and natural healing.
Yeah.
That's what gets us there. What else you want to leave us with today, man? That's it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on.
I will be back whenever you. Hey,
you got to bring the fart dryer on, man.
I'll bring her. I'll have to bring all the boys though.
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
Unless they're back in school.
Yeah, well, I'd love to, because we got to keep bringing light to this, and I want to follow up with your journeys too. See what's working, see what's helping, and then as we get these laws passed and legalized, we'll all celebrate together at the end. But again, everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you got a story to tell, please join us. You can find us on letsbeblunt.org. We're also on Let's Be Blunt on YouTube. We're the ones that are not Montel Williams. We need to get him on the show as well, too. But get involved. Talk to your representatives citywide, statewide. Yes. They will sit and meet with you. They will, if you schedule meetings, they will. Not me anymore. They don't love me. But they will meet with you.
That should be illegal.
Yeah. It's crazy how you get known for what you do and they avoid you for what you do.
That's the issue is, they censor. They're censoring people from having a voice. And you fighting.
Yeah, I'm too dumb to shut up, and I won't.
You're not. I don't think you're dumb.
I won't give up, man. Thank you, Don. But it's we got a fight on our hands, and I'm not going to stop till we get there. And it takes people like you and I to stand up and say enough's enough. And here we are.
Yeah.
So,
my man.
If you got anything to share, hey, if you oppose everything we're saying on the show, I definitely want to hear from you.
We want
as well.
the haters.
Yeah, we want everybody.
We want the haters.
I want an honest, healthy, open debate